Hi, fellow sports lovers and timeout lovers, and welcome to another episode of Timeout, a show anybody can watch about sports, stats, facts, and everything in between. From a fan point of view, I'm your host Charlie, so let's go get this ball rolling. Timeout. Let's talk about some sports. How did I miss that? Okay, fellow timeout lovers. Man, did we have an exciting, packed sports weekend. With the lights shining bright in New York, as the Giants stomped and lifted up to the top, that's right, top of their division, against a slow-starting, lethargic 49ers team. With the game being a back-and-forth, cat-and-mouse pretty much battle, as Eli Manning tried some really crazy circus moves, especially with the throw that he went to do in pretty close to the fourth quarter, where he threw it to literally right into a 49ers hand. And because, fellow timeout lovers, his hands were too far into the grass area, it was considered an incomplete pass. Man, did Eli Manning get very, very lucky on Sunday night. As it was considered an incomplete pass. Nonetheless, though, the 49ers tried their hardest. They really did. But the Giants prevailed. And with 21 seconds left in the game. Woohoo! Stud Larry Donald gets a 12-yard pass from Mr. Eli Manning to win the game in Jersey. The studs on the Giants side was Mr. Eli Manning, who had 441 yards. Count them, fellow timeout lovers. Not one, not two, but three. That's right, 3 touchdowns, and finished for 41-54. But he couldn't do it without his stud, Rashard Jennings, who had 11 carries, 46 yards, and who could forget about stud, already everybody knows, ODB, Odell Beckham Jr. with 7 receiving, 121 yards, and count them, 1 touchdown. Even though the 49ers lost, they did try very hard to get a win. Even though it didn't happen, the studs were quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who had 262 yards for the day and 2 touchdowns and finished for 23-35. And don't forget about stud Carlos Hyde, who had 21 carries, 93 yards, as well as a 49ers touchdown. But those Giants, boom, stomped the 49ers with an all-out battle, fellow timeout lovers, with a final score of 30-27. Woo! Good job, Giants. Nice to see you boys up at the top. Also, what happened in the NFL yesterday? Those darn Patriots, man, they went on to Cowboys Stadium, where Mr. Tom Brady got knocked around and pushed around in the first and second half, courtesy of Cowboys' own Greg Hardy. But you know the Patriots, you think Mr. Terrific Tom Brady called out Greg Hardy or the Cowboys trash talking? No, not in that house. No. Other than that, he decided to answer on the field. With Mr. Tom Terrific going for 275 yards, count them, 2 touchdowns. One of those was courtesy of him, where he went Psycho Tom, and finished for 20 to 27. He couldn't do it without his boy, LeGarrette Blount, who had 13 carries and 24 yards, and not to mention his new homeboy, Mr. Wide Receiver, number 11, my pickup for fantasy, by the way, Julia Edelman, who had 120 yards, 4 receiving, and count 'em, 1 touchdown. Even though it was a battered, injured Cowboys team, there were still some somewhat studs of the Sunday afternoon, such as Brandon Whedon, who had 188 yards, and had two interceptions and 0 touchdowns. Finished for 26 to 39. Joseph Randall, who only had 15 carries and 60 yards, and Darren McFadden finished it off with 9 receiving and 62 yards. The Patriots, dominated the torn-out, injured Cowboys with a final victory of 30-6. Keeping now the Patriots record 5, that's right, 5 to goose egg, to nothing, undefeated. Next on to the NFL, we head to the Baltimore, Maryland, as the Ravens host those rowdy dog-pound Cleveland Browns, as Josh McCown throws an 18-yard pass to Gary Bernidage, who catches, that's right, fellow timeout lovers, in his feet. Pretty much like this. He catches it. Unbelievable, timeout lovers. It really was. As the Ravens desperately needed to get a win, those Browns, those rough and tough Browns, made it an all-out battle victory in final overtime. That's right, final overtime. Them Browns stepped it up. Woo-hoo! Gotta give it up to the Cleveland Browns. 33-30. Wow. Go Browns. The studs of the Browns was quarterback's own Josh McCown, who had 457 yards, count them, not 1 but 2 touchdowns, and finished for 36-51. Isaiah Cromwell definitely had a good day and helped out with 13 carries and 49 yards. And finally, Gary Bernidage was something special, the guy who made that unbelievable catch I just explained, with 139 yards, count 'em, 1 touchdown, that amazing touchdown, and 8 receiving. On the Ravens side, even though they did not win, the studs were quarterback Joe Cool Flacco, who had 210 yards, 1 touchdown, and finished for 19-35. Next was his stud buddy, Justin Forsett, with 21 carries and 121 yards, as well as 1 touchdown. And finally, Ravens' own Kamar Atkin, who had 4 receiving and 78 yards. The Browns beat the Ravens in the BB&T Stadium in Maryland in final, that's right, final overtime, 33-30. Woo-hoo! Go Dog Pound! The final NFL game we're going to discuss is my Chicago Bears versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, nobody, and I mean nobody, had the Bears winning this game. Even this timeout lover. But Jay Cutler definitely threw a little bit of that, sprinkled some of that fourth quarter magic all over those Kansas City Chiefs. With pretty much Robbie Gould starting off the game with field goal after field goal, Jamal Charles tried to have a decent day as Kansas City Chiefs, but unfortunately, fantasy owners and just timeout and sports lovers in general, Jamal Charles is out, tore his ACL. Ouch. Doctors are not sure how long it's going to be until he's ready to play again. Not very good. Helped out my Bears, though, in getting a victory. Woo-hoo! 18-17. Man, what a game. The studs on my Chicago Bears team was quarterback, shockingly, I know this, Jay Cutler, who had 252 yards, count them, not one but two touchdowns, and finished for 26-45. Next was, of course, Mr. Reliable, number 22, Matt Forte, who head bear had 18 carries and 71 yards, as well as finally Marquise Wilson, who had 8 receiving and 85 yards, as well as counted a Bears touchdown. Woohoo! On the Chiefs side, they tried their hardest with quarterback Alex Smith, who had 181 yards, count them, 1 touchdown, and finished for 16-30. Jamal Charles, before he left, had a decent day with 12 carries and 58 yards, and Jeremy Maclin tried his hardest with only 8 receiving, though, and 85 yards. Man, what a nail-biter till the end. But my Bears roared back and got a win on the road. Woo! In Arrowhead Stadium. That's right, fellow timeout lovers. 18-17. Wow. Talk about some awesome NFL football that happened this weekend. Baseball news. In the NLDS game 2-2-2 going on, we've got, speaking of Chicago, we've got my Cubbies roaring back against those World Series champs with a 6-3 victory. As the Cardinals only really shined in the first inning, as Carpenter gets a home run, 421 feet. But after that, it was all about them Cubs, and they all had to shine, got a chance to shine bright in St. Louis. With Solar ending the night on a boom, Cubbies good note, as the Cubbies Solar homers 1 to the center, 413 feet, woohoo, to help Fowler go on home, as the Cubbies are leading the series 1-1. Woohoo! Go Cubbies! On to college football news. My Gators ripped and tore apart Missouri. Not even letting them get one, that's right, fellow timeout lovers, 1 touchdown, with a final victory of 21-3, as Will Greer looked like a Superman stud once again with 208 yards and finished for 20-33. Taylor really stepped up his game with 99 yards and count them, not 1 but 2 touchdowns and 28 carries, and as well as, can't forget about Robinson with 6 receiving and 79 yards. The Gators chomped up those Missouri Tigers, baby. Woohoo! At 21-3. Having the Gators now, are you ready for this, timeout lovers, sports lovers, everyone all over the world? The Gators are now 6-0, baby. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Woo! Also, go Gators. Woohoo! Also, in college football news, with a back-and-forth battle, FSU finally chopped, sliced, and diced, sorry folks, the U. With a 29-24 victory. It was a very good battle. As on the U side, Kakia has 405 yards, count not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns, and finished for 29-49. Also on the U, we've got Yerby, who had a good day with 15 carries, 33 yards, and finally, with the U, with Conley, we have 7 receiving and 139 yards, as well as one touchdown. On the on the FSU side, we have Eddie Golson with finished for 25 to 33 with 291 yards, as well as one FSU touchdown. Of course, can't forget about Superman stud of the FSU, Dalvin Cook, with 22 carries and 222 yards, as well as not one but 2 touchdowns for FSU. And of course, Whitefield, who had 9 receiving and 95 yards. FSU, by the way, timeout lovers, sports lovers, again, still stays undefeated. 5 to goose egg nothing. Man, talk about some awesome, packed-filled, uproared weekend shows. Weekend sports shows. I hope you enjoyed my recap of what happened this sports-filled weekend. Have an awesome, awesome day. That's my show, fellow sports lovers. Thanks for tuning in. If you really like what I'm talking about, then go in and give me those thumbs up. Or if you really feel what I'm talking about, then why haven't you subscribed yet? Or you can leave me a comment below the video here. And don't forget to hit me up on social media, on Facebook at Charles Cowan Timeout. And finally, get me up a tweet on Twitter at TimeoutNow87. Until next time, Timeout. Let's talk about some sports. Woohoo! Have an awesome sports day.